This is 2 Esdras chapter 6. And then he said to me, at the beginning of the circle of the earth, before the portals of the world were in place, and before the assembled winds blew, and before the rumblings of the thunder sounded, and before the flashes of lightning shone, and before the foundations of paradise were laid, and before the beautiful flowers were seen, and before the powers of movement were established, and before innumerable hosts of angels were gathered together, and before the heights of the air were lifted up, and before the measures of the firmaments were named, and before the footstool of Zion was established, and before the present years were reckoned, and before the imaginations of those who now sin were estranged, and before those who stored up treasures of faith were sealed, then I planned these things, and they were made through me, and not through another, just as the end shall come through me, and not through another. And I answered and I said, what will be the dividing of the times, and when will the end of the first age and the beginning of the age that follows? He said to me, from Abraham to Isaac, because from him were born Jacob and Esau, for Jacob's hand held Esau's heel from the beginning. For Esau is at the end of the age, and Jacob is the beginning of the age that follows. For the beginning of man is his hand, and the end of man is his heel. Between the heel and the hand seek for nothing else, Ezra. I answered and said, O sovereign Lord, if I have found favor in thy sight, show thy servant the end of the signs which thou didst show me in part on a previous night. And he answered and he said to me, rise to your feet, and you will hear a full resounding voice. And if the place where you're standing is greatly shaken while the voice is speaking, do not be terrified, because the words concerns the end. And the foundations of the earth will understand that the speech concerns them, and they will tremble and be shaken, for they know that their end must be changed. And when I heard this, I rose to my feet, and I listened, and behold, a voice. It was speaking, and its sound was like the sound of many waters. And it said, behold, the days are coming, and it shall be that when I draw near to visit the inhabitants of the earth, and when I require from the doers of iniquity the penalty of their iniquity, and when the humiliation of Zion is complete, and when the seal is placed upon the age which is about to pass away, then I will show these signs. The books shall be opened from before the firmament, and all shall see it together. Infants a year old shall speak with their voices, and women with child shall give birth to premature children at about 3 or 4 months, and these shall live and dance. Sown places shall suddenly appear unsown, and full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall sound aloud, and when they all hear it, they shall suddenly be terrified. At the time friends shall make war on friends like enemies, and the earth and those who inhabit it shall be terrified, and the springs of the fountains shall stand still, so that for 3 hours they shall not flow. And it shall be that whoever remains after all that I have foretold to you shall himself be saved, and shall see my salvation, and at the end of the world, and they shall see men who were taken up, who from their birth have not tasted death, and the heart of the earth's inhabitants shall be changed and converted to a different spirit. For evil shall be blotted out, and deceit shall be quenched. Faithfulness shall flourish, and corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which has so long been without fruit shall be revealed. While he spoke to me, behold, little by little the place where I was standing began to rock to and fro. And he said to me, I have come to show you these things this night. If therefore you pray again and fast again for 7 days, I will again declare to you greater things than these, because your voice has surely been heard before the Most High. For the Mighty has seen your uprightness, and has also observed the purity which you have maintained from your youth. Therefore he sent me to show you all these things and say to you, believe and don't be afraid. Do not be quick to think vain thoughts concerning the former times, lest you be hasty concerning the last times. Now, after this I wept again and fasted for 7 days in order to complete the 3 weeks, as I had been told. And on the 8th night my heart was troubled within me again. And I began to speak in the presence of the Most High, for my spirit was greatly aroused, and my soul was in distress. And I said, O Lord, thou didst speak at the beginning of creation, and thou didst say on the first day, let heaven and earth be made, and thy word accomplished thy work. And then the Spirit was hovering, and darkness and silence embraced everything, and the sound of the man's voice was not there yet. Then thou didst command that a ray of light be brought forth from thy treasures, so that the works might appear. Again, on the 2nd day thou didst create the spirit of the firmament, and did command him to divide and separate the waters, that one part might move upward, and the other part remain beneath. On the 3rd day thou didst command the waters to be gathered together in the 7th part of the earth. 6 parts thou didst dry up and keep, so that some of them might be planted and cultivated, and be of service before thee. For thy word went forth, and at once the work was done. For immediately fruit came forth in endless abundance, and varied appeal to taste, flowers, untamable color, the odors of an inexpressible fragrance. These were made on the 3rd day. And on the 4th day thou didst command the brightness of the sun, the light of the moon, and the arrangement of the stars to come into being, and thou didst command them to serve man who was about to be formed. And on the 5th day thou didst command the 7th part, where the water had been gathered together, to bring forth living creatures, birds and fishes, and so it was done. The dumb and the lifeless water produced the creatures as it was commanded, that therefore the nations might declare thy wondrous works. And then thou didst keep in existence 2 living creatures. The name of one thou did call Behemoth, and the name of the other Leviathan. And thou didst separate one from the other, for the 7th part, where the water had been gathered together, could not hold them both. And thou didst give Behemoth one of the parts which he had been dried up on the 3rd day to live in, where there are 1,000 mountains. But to Leviathan thou didst give the 7th part, a watery part, and thou hast kept them to be eaten by whom thou wilt, and when thou wilt. And on the 6th day thou didst command the earth to bring forth before thee cattle, beasts, and creepy things, and over all these thou didst place Adam as a ruler over all the works in which thou hast made, and from him we have all come, the people whom thou hast chosen. All this I have spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou hast said that it was for us that thou didst create the world. And as for the other nations which I have descended from Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, and that they are like spittle. And thou hast compared their abundance to a drop in a bucket. And now, O Lord, behold these nations which are reputed as nothing, domineer over us and devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, the only begotten, zealous for thee, and most dear, have been given into their hands. If the world has indeed created for us, why do we not possess our world as an inheritance? How long will this be so?